everybody. It's Live at the Hive for July 13th. Oh, Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm Dan.
Lucky day.
Yeah. Well, if maybe, yeah, with my life, it is the day is the lucky day, and every other day is the unlucky one.
I normally still get luck on Friday the 13th, so I don't know.
Anyways, I'm Dan Adelko. We didn't finish our intro properly.
Sorry. Justin Maciel.
Matthew Chirlenko.
All right. Yeah. Sorry, I was looking at Periscope. That's my fault. I'm trying to see that our all of our things are working the way that they should, and they are. Oh,
Nice.
and now I'm going to get feedback. Okay. So, today on Live at the Hive, we're changing up the format a little bit because, variety is the spice of life.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Last week, a number of you commented that you really like the What's New section. So we're going with that. We're rolling with it. So we're going to kick off What's New with... So wait, let's just go over what we're doing today. How's that? That makes more sense.
Yeah.
If I can remember. No, so today we will be talking... Today, obviously, Matthew and Justin on the creative team. So we're going to talk a lot about social advertising today and why it's different. What some of the things you need to take into account. There's even some stuff out of What's New that we're going to highlight. Lots of big changes in the world of social, Instagram, Facebook, and Google Ads coming up. And then we're going to segue into using one of the features of Facebook advertising that is often not used, but it's probably one of the most powerful features that they have, which is called the Facebook Creative Hub. So hopefully we'll be able to tie in What's New with the social advertising strategy and then wrap it up with a nice quick look at the Creative Hub. So going from the strategy right into how you get doing this stuff. Cool. So Justin, kick it off with our first What's New.
Okay, so one of our first What's New is we're going to start with Instagram. Instagram has a couple new things this time around. What they have is open-ended questions in their stories, which is kind of new, kind of not. I find like a lot of Instagrammers have been doing open-ended questions in their stories anyways, just kind of like writing it over their pictures. But what's nice is that now they're actually going to have a functionality so that you can comment properly with and then actually have like a nice feed after that, like you can actually go through and see how people answered that question.
Yeah, no, this is actually really kind of cool. We were just talking about this before. So, hi, April, Hannah, Nira, Alex.
Hey guys.
I'm trying to community manage this thing properly, and Vicky Smith gave us a like. Thanks a lot. We got people flooding through the gates right now. It's good. No, one of the cool things about this, I think, in my mind, is one, it's reinforcing what happened at F8 earlier, where the growth of stories is exceeding the growth of news feeds by 50%. Kind of not fair because stories are relatively new, but there's a lot of talk and I think discussion throughout Facebook that stories may not replace the news feed, but primarily people tend to want to interact with stories more than news feed items.
I find it's because it's so specific. Like, and now news feeds are full of like everything, like especially with Instagram's new algorithm that isn't like as posts are going, it's not organized. It's like as you're liking more people, that's the post that you see. So sometimes you don't see your friends' posts because maybe you liked some Kardashian photos. Now you're shrouded in Kardashian photos, right?
You poor thing.
Yeah, it's like God. So now I don't see my friends' photos. So now mainly I go to their actual profile and see their stories because that's mainly specific to them. Yeah,
for sure. And I think this goes back to last year with all of the trouble that Facebook had in 2016 with fake news and news feeds and trying to algorithmically figure out what you like and what you don't like. Stories are kind of a nice way, an easier way to filter towards your friends. And also, quite realistically, like if you look at stories, Instagram and Facebook, it's kind of difficult to distinguish the two anymore. They're so intertwined. But the thing is, with stories, you kind of get a much more creative bent on it than posting a post, right? Like you can, you can put sunglasses on and add all the fun stuff.
All the nice filters.
All the different filters, which are
which are nice.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Sorry, I'm reading comments. If I stop talking, that just means because I'm not a professional broadcaster.
So to continue the Instagram topic, they added in like a do not disturb and kind of a caught up like aspect to the app. I'm kind of like indifferent about it because what they're kind of doing is to stop people from keeping scrolling, because now that you've seen all the posts, now you can like be done scrolling. But the reason why people are always scrolling is because, like I said before, things aren't like as they were posted anymore, and now so people are still scrolling, seeing stuff that like they don't necessarily want to see. Maybe they liked a couple photos. Now the algorithm's giving them all these different photos that they don't really want to see, and so they're still scrolling. So this is like kind of to stop that. So they're kind of like solving a problem that they caused.
Yeah.
So to me, it's kind of like, I don't know, like it could have been nice to have this and then reorganize things again.
Yeah, I mean, so you're talking about do not disturb, right?
Yeah.
I'm on the right thing? Sorry. Yeah, well, I think one of the things is, the social networks are also coming under a lot of scrutiny, especially when Sean Parker, who was, famous from, what was the movie? The Facebook movie? Anyways, forget the name of it for some strange reason.
The Social Network?
The Social Network, that's right. With the Social Network, so Sean Parker came out and said, basically, yes, we created this to be addictive. It's like crack cocaine, and it is. So I think part of this is also helping people to, use some tools, whether they'll work or not. At least they're trying something.
Yeah.
In terms of being able to do that.
Yeah. The do not disturb too is nice. So like the do not disturb is pretty much you can start setting that. Once you touch the app, you only get notifications for a half an hour after, or stuff like that. It's not fully out, but they're seeing it in, apparently they're seeing it in the backcode that they're testing it. So that could be kind of nice to help people be less distracted. Like if you know that you're super distracted by Instagram, then you can be like, don't send me notifications after like 10 minutes of me off the app, right?
Yeah.
Which would be nice. But that I understand. But yeah, the caught up thing is nice, but I think it would have been nicer if things were kept in order again, and then had the caught up underneath.
And that's what Justin thinks, folks.
Yeah.
Do you think Facebook or Instagram have concerns regarding people turning off notifications for so long?
Well,
because
I think
there's a feature that you can turn it off for a certain amount of time. It's a big chunk of time.
Yeah, I think what it is that. So I have like if I have my notifications on, my phone goes like nonstop between Slack and Skype and Snap and Insta and Facebook and Twitter and all the Twitter accounts. So I like to turn them off so I can go when I want to go.
Yeah.
I actually wish that Android and iOS would make better global notification settings. That's a little awkward. Like you can turn all notifications off, but then app by app. You have to like literally go in and set each out. To forever if you have like 100 apps.
They've been cleaning up the notifications a bit more. Like before, like especially Instagram, if someone liked your photo, it was literally like 15 notifications or something of like 15 different people that liked your photo.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Now it's just like one notification that's just like 15 people liked your photo, which it cleans it up way more.
Yeah. So this I think is Instagram, both features, right? The open-ended questions and stories kind of rising up to the top. So from a marketer's perspective, and we have been doing this, is get into stories, start using those stories. Using the open-ended questions regardless is getting that engagement. So the nice thing is when those tools are built in, they'll have metrics associated with them. So you'll be able to see if you're actually getting more engagement. Yeah. And then understanding that there's a do not disturb and caught up after for overgramming, figuring out the right times of day to post your stories. And this is really much more of a user control kind of thing, because you can go forever. Yeah.
And this caught up thing is actually, it only does like the first 48 hours. So it's only the last 2 days that you're caught up with. Yeah. And then it just doesn't show like any other posts after that.
Yeah.
So that's a little different too. Like if you like maybe posted like 5 days ago, then your post is pretty much done with its likes, because that 48 hours thing is canceling everything out.
Yeah.
Do you think they would even have needed this caught up feature if they just in the settings put you want to see things as they're posted, or algorithm based.
That'd be nice.
That would be very nice.
I like that idea.
Well, there's a lot of opinions on the Instagram algorithm, obviously. I don't think that there's any way that you could be Instagram and scale properly just by showing everything in a feed. And they do, and keep in mind, they need the algorithm to also show sponsored posts and sponsored ads, right? So, I mean, there are ways to get around it, but I think, you know, they're never gonna go back. Even as an option, they're never gonna go back to just see my stream. Same thing with Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Twitter did the same thing as well. So I think it's one of those things that you have to just work with what the platform is going to provide for you, right? And using these features. So that's an interesting one. So next up on our social palooza and advertising palooza, what are we talking about next? Yeah, let's do. So do I have that one up?
We could talk about Facebook and
AR.
AR.
Let's talk about Facebook and AR.
So Facebook is now rolling in augmented reality ads, or testing it, that is. So that's, let's say you're seeing an ad for sunglasses, which has been the main kind of example that we've been seeing in all the articles. You can press it and then it'll turn almost like a Snapchat filter, and you can try on the glasses in front of you, which is kind of cool. I think like there may be some flaws in that we're gonna kind of see once it rolls out. Like maybe the shape of the glasses isn't exactly as you tried on. So
we were discussing this a little earlier. This particular post that we see from The Verge here does not appear to me to be an actual demo of an AR ad. It looks, I'm not sure where they got it. I don't think they said they got it from Facebook, but that looks like not great augmented reality.
Yeah.
It like Pokemon Go looks more realistic. But the thing is that with good AR, it's fascinating because for retailers and clothiers and IKEA, like I think we did talk about IKEA in previous episodes, but the fact that you could hold up your phone, take a selfie, try it on, and get an idea of what this is going to look like. I don't know how they're going to handle sizing. I mean, that's interesting. I would hope that you can't change the size because sunglasses have a certain width, right?
Yeah,
That is true.
Yeah, and it has to be relative to the size of your face. So I'm sure, I hope that they figured that out.
Yeah.
Megan had a question here as well. Megan Roach from Honeypot. Hi, Megan. She put, what other products do you think could adapt to AR advertising?
I think it has a lot of opportunity. Like I think we were talking about IKEA when it comes to just simply like furniture. If you could just scan your room and then try that couch looking like in your room, that'd be awesome. I think like maybe if you could put the phone far enough, you could try on clothes, which would be really cool. Me and Kristen were talking earlier about hairstylists. If you want to try on like a color, maybe your hairstylist that does lots of fantasy colors, and so you want people to try on like pink or blue or whatever, then see if it looks good on them, then you have that.
So that, I mean, I believe quite honestly the future is augmented reality for this situation. And augmented reality is becoming quite a bit more popular right now than full-on virtual reality for various, I mean, this is, you know, this AR, augmented reality, is literally like the first Apple IIc laptop computer. It's like, it's the very beginning. It's like this is very, very new technology, but if you were to look 3-4 years down the road, probably not even, given the amount of resources.
It's going to go so fast.
It's going to go so fast. So yeah, you could take a panoramic of your living room and, you know, pan, zoom, do all sorts of 360 photos.
There is tech out there, even with like clothing lines. There's a new brand. I forget the name of the app, but they're selling their content over to different clothing companies, where you stand a certain distance away from your phone, prop up against the wall, and it'll measure your body. I've tested it out. It works very well, especially for like formal wear, something like that. But I think the technology is out there in order for something to be more accurately represented when you say sunglasses.
Like we were talking about like a company like Indochino with like their suits and stuff that make them all custom made. If they could do that where they literally look at you and they measure everything perfectly, then
I think it's a new concept, but the tech is out there.
I think literally, so the applications for augmented reality are pretty much limitless between clothing, furniture, anything physical that you would want to put into a context you would be able to use. And these are the really early days. So from a marketing and advertising perspective, when this rolls out, I know we're going to be all over it, testing it and seeing how, it'll work. And look at it this way. If it's a new ad format that has a certain amount of a cool factor to it, and again, I will refer to Pokemon Go because it's one of the best examples of augmented reality that, I don't even know that, the Pogo players will know that it's AR, but a lot of the world doesn't really kind of, it's there and it's really popular. Is that if you're running an ad campaign, and again, we talked about this a lot this week in the office, how do you stand out? Whether you're in B2B or whether you're in retailing, you've got to do something to stand out, whether it's being cheeky, using humor, using video, being very, very creative. This format lends itself to people just messing around with it.
Oh, yeah.
And getting into it, and your product or your whatever you're selling, you have a really big purchase opportunity that could happen right there.
Yeah.
For sure. Cool. Next up on what's new, maybe we should talk about, where's that Google? So Google Ads, notice what I said there. AdWords is dead. AdWords is going away. And the rebrand, where the heck did I put this here? The rebrand is going to be to Google Ads now. And that's actually, that's a rebranding, but for those of you in the marketing advertising industry or anybody that may have ever touched Google AdWords, pardon me, it's not so much, yes, it's a rebrand and they're obviously getting away from the notion, and it's probably a smart move, they're getting away from the notion of AdWords because people are like, oh, well, those are the search ads.
Yeah.
That's one of dozens and dozens of different types of formats. You go into YouTube, you've got dozens of different formats and placements on YouTube. You can go into the Google Display Network, the Gmail, so it's a lot more. So they're rebranding that. But more importantly, there's a whole slew of new features, including what they're calling the Google Ads Experience, which is a complete redesign of the entire platform for running your ads and new tools, but also now introducing the new formats that are available powered by machine learning. So Big Brother.
Which is awesome because it's going to help. It's pretty much promoting testing, which is awesome because we as marketers do that already, where we have four different tests, and then we see which one does the best, and then we pinhole on the one that does better. Now what it's doing is it's grabbing your it's promoting you to do 4 different variations, and then from those it learns what you're talking about and helps promote your stuff even better, which is awesome.
Yeah, one of the key things here. So for example, one of the things that I find really interesting is maximizing lift for YouTube. And we've talked about this before. In a lot of our campaigns, what we do is, you don't just go for the jugular and throw up, buy now, save 20%, because unless you're a large brand, you're probably going to get smoked out in the auction process. So we run various phases of campaigns to gain interest, create remarketing groups. Some of them are what you would call brand campaigns. And then on the 3rd or 4th interaction, start, making the call to action to be the sale. But for example, the smart bidding strategy here that's being introduced automatically adjusts bids at auction time to maximize the impact video has on brand perception through the customer journey. So if you think about YouTube and why you need machine learning for this is in the billions of videos that are on YouTube, and then this has happened, there's appropriate and inappropriate videos. There's videos that would exist out there based on terms that you put in and that are basically in the channel, but then using AI to understand what viewers they are, right? Like, does that channel have the right segment of viewers that have a high likelihood to become your customers? Now, these features are already being built into AdWords. There are new targets that you're allowed to select. This is all plugging into this AI machine here that's somewhat interesting because as a marketer and when you're running these AdWords campaigns, we talk about, we talk a lot, like there's 2 sides to Google Ads, right? There's not the mechanical, but more like the stock trading, day trading, right? What are the bids? What are the placements? at the end of the day, then, if you have the right message, and this is where it gets into the creative process, the question is it the right audience? Are they in market? Are they looking for something? Are they browsing for something? So the interesting thing about this AI that's to be released, and what we're going to start doing when it's fully released, is actually taking our techniques that we use and testing it against this AI and seeing if the results are more effective, then
I wonder if
that'd
it
be
can
awesome.
go even further of the fact that, like, the people's life cycle of, like, do they even know the brand yet? So then it's just a branded ad. Then once they click on the site, they're actually there. Then it actually goes to selling them products specifically rather than just the branded ads. I wonder if it can go that specific eventually.
The AI that already exists currently in Google Ads and throughout the Google network is actually pretty substantial.
Yeah.
So, for example, there's a Google bot that people may be familiar with search, but there's also a Google Ads bot. It's usually the AdWords bot, but now it's going to be the Google Ads bot. But all of those bots speak, like they speak different languages. They're what's called semantic robots, right? They understand language. Like, they can read. It's creepy. There's billions of these robots spidering the internet, and it's like the Matrix, right? Any given time, there's billions of these things crawling all over the place, consuming information. But they are intelligent, and they can read, and they have the ability to learn and pass data back at scale. So, the question is like, how effective and accurate is it going to be?
Yep.
I wouldn't rely 1,000% on it and just throw in the towel and say the AI's there.
I think they're trying to get it to that point, like, eventually, but this is just a test that they're doing, which we'll see.
Yeah,
I'm excited about it, especially I think they're focusing more on local campaigns now too, because they know, like, a lot of people, even though they will see the ad or like research it, they're still gonna go into the store and buy it. So they're trying to, like, be even more focused on, like, local ads too, which is nice.
That actually, most local campaigns, well, I shouldn't say most, but a lot of local campaigns are from small businesses that they can't, some of them don't even have the budget to afford our services.
Yep.
So they're running it on their own. So in order to provide, the proper guidance and experience for people to be effective with local ads, and this auto optimization. So, for example, right now, an auto optimization that you could have is really just creating 4 to 6 variants of your ads in the same ad group and running them and seeing which message is actually getting the most interest as opposed to just doing one. That's one that already exists, but again,
they're fully pushing that now. They're like, you need to be doing variants because this is how we're going to advertise better for you.
Yeah. And again, this is all in Google's greedy self-interest. Obviously, if you have successful campaigns, you're going to spend more.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what they want to do. The other one is smart shopping campaigns. Hit revenue goals without the need to manually manage and bid individual products or keywords. That is very useful. Because when you get into this auctioning process, there is a lot happening underneath the surface. There are lots, and depending on what you're doing, you can lose out on bid campaigns at a certain cap, as opposed to adjusting. Again, this is all very much like day trading the stock market.
Yeah,
it's that kind of
selling keywords. It's so funny.
Thing. Yeah,
but it's life now.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Let's see, what else do we have on here? This one's cool. So rolling right through, it's a big social media day. And like I said, we're going to segue into the Creative Hub and also talk a little bit about social media advertising strategies and why social media network advertising is very different than even display, search, or straight up video. And the distinct differences in terms of performance. But this one's really cool because, again, this one to me is like the Clash of the Titans, where they're throwing thunderbolts at each other in the sky. This would be Facebook really doubling down on going after Netflix and YouTube, or doing their best to. So Facebook Watch was released, I think, last year in limited beta. It's been rolling out. So if you're unaware of what Facebook Watch is, because either you're not in the States or for whatever other reason, it's organized as television shows, very similar to Netflix and YouTube playlists, but pages now become stations instead. and they get a huge amount of boosted views on video content.
Right. I'm surprised they didn't launch this on Facebook before they did Instagram.
It's interesting. I mean, I think I know IGTV has had a huge splash, and it's doing really well. But again, I feel like this is a little bit like a lot of people talk about YouTube as if it's this old relic that it's out there. It's not.
No,
it's not at all. It's a massive beast. Facebook Watch. There's like some interesting things. This article here. So Facebook is taking a page out of the Netflix strategy, which is becoming content creators. So, you know, what's old is new again. Facebook is now basically becoming the modern day version of an NBC, CBS, ABC.
Yep.
Right?
Just to be,
yeah. The only difference is the technology back then was a tube TV, right? And then cable television, and now the technology is the internet and social networks, but who cares, right? Yep. So Facebook Watch now has hired, I know one of the biggest ones, they hired Anderson Cooper. He's got a show on the CNN Watch channel, which is kind of this, you know, younger, hipper, cooler, more show, interactive news style that Cheddar was starting to popularize, that has been popularizing. And now there's like a reorganization of a lot of these different...
does it also say Fox and ABC as well?
Oh yeah, Fox is in there.
Of course they are.
Don't hate on the right wing. We need them too, the yin and the yang.
It's true.
Well, Fox is interesting. But yeah, CNN, Fox, ABC. But again, there's going to be, you know, they're already talking about attention. Mike, Quartz, some of those are all more new.
This is going to be interesting around election time. I feel like there's going to be a lot of like little mini shows that are going to be going on around, which actually may be nice and make things a bit more transparent.
Well, I think one of the things is that this will most definitely, again, you know, from a marketing or advertising perspective, you kind of have to look at the behavior of your consumer. Like, what are they doing? One of the things I like to say, because I like to fish, is you fish where the fish are. You don't try to get the fish to go where you are, right? And quite often in marketing and advertising, if a strategy goes sideways, it's because you're trying to push somebody to do something out of their element, right? So understanding that Facebook Watch is there, that consumers now social media is interesting, right? Because you're not just there checking out your stuff with your friends, right? Posting a photo and then going to watch TV. You're actually consuming exclusive content on Facebook. Yeah. So you're there for a substantial period, longer period of time, right?
Which is what they want.
Right. Yeah. So then placements on the Facebook audience network, for example, would be, you know, maybe you would want to try to bid on a certain region that might be watching a BuzzFeed Watch channel or show.
Yep.
You know, it's interesting because the David and Goliath, you know, you're not going to afford a 30-second spot during the Super Bowl, but maybe you could do a 15-second spot in the middle of content in your geographic region because it's much less expensive, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. So that's what's interesting to me about this. Facebook Watch is interesting to watch the development of.
And it'll definitely get to the point, like you said, like to be like geolocated and like specifically go to that stream. Would be awesome.
Yeah, like if there was a BuzzFeed channel and I was selling, you know, fashion eyeglass frames or something, I would want to have my product there.
Yep.
You know. It is really interesting to see, but it's gonna drastically impact the watch times and the delivery and how you should strategically be thinking about your social advertising. Which is a really nice segue because I think we covered everything properly, and we are pretty good.
Nice.
4:39. We're actually kind of staying on target here. We're trying to be less rambly and more. Within the 40 to 45 minute range for the whole live stream, and then being able to cut it. So, like I said, the other week we had a lot of comments that people really liked what's new, so giving it a shot to see if anybody's going to hang out for what's working. But the cool thing is that we do get the majority of our views after the live, up in the thousands. So I don't think it really matters, but we'll definitely put markers in. All right, so. When we're talking about Facebook,
Yeah, this one's exciting.
I think people, this is a very, very cool thing that I think very few people actually know about. And so the Creative Hub was released back in 2016. It was pretty new at the time, and so for example, I think one of the reasons it didn't make such a huge splash at the time was you couldn't export your mock-ups into actual campaigns for about a year. So it was kind of like,
Yeah.
like, it's
really
not
do
that
anything
exciting at that point, right? But what the Creative Hub is basically a workshop within Facebook, Business Manager, where you run and place the ads that will allow you to create variants, mock-ups. We'll go through the whole list. Think of it like a workshop for creating your ads instead of sitting there in the campaign when you're trying to launch it, try to come up. So you can build a library and have time to think about it. See the results of... Uh-oh. The laptop is having a connection currently, so we will just do this. To be able to kind of really double down on the creative process, which I think is important. I don't know why that's doing that.
Which is super important. And what's nice is with this, you can send, not only can you like make really nice mock-ups and keep them, you can send them to clients super easily, and you can view them as they are in the newsfeed, mobile and desktop, which makes a huge difference and is so nice because they'll even kind of view it against like testing against different colored posts, like notification posts, so that you can see if your post will actually stand up on that newsfeed. Which is such a good idea, and I like that they like took that attention to detail to do that.
The one feature I love is the preview feature, where you can send the URL just to the client or to somebody, just to get their opinion on it, and you can see actually how it will look like, how it will pop up in the feed.
It's the smallest thing, but it's such a huge triumph because we use that so often.
So one of the things, like just starting out, we'll roll through each one of these features in turn, but I think something interesting as you're looking at the and I really like the Get Inspired section. I find that one of the biggest challenges, even that we have, is getting away from the day trading notion and getting back into the Mad Men style of like how creative can we be with this? Because sometimes it'll make all the difference in the world, obviously. But this brings up some interesting thoughts to me about the difference between even where you guys were trained formally at school, which was, I won't speak for you, but fairly traditional.
Yeah, I would say that,
To some degree.
Yep, to some degree.
Photoshop,
Yeah, the basics.
And branding, and like heavily branded, and right, everything has the creative design, which you should. But social advertising, if you look here, of these Get Inspired, some of the biggest brands in the world, what you'll see, and there's big and small brands in here. You see that there's Xbox UK over here, and also then Carbon 38, right? And so larger and smaller brands. I think the thing in social advertising is understanding that the medium works much better with a much more personalized message. Not to say that your branding and your logo aren't important, but understanding what you're saying inside of the context of Facebook makes all the difference in the world. So you can see in here, you see a lot of videos that look like it could be a video from one of your friends, and obviously they're going to have some better quality in there. But you can see M&M's USA is actually kind of using the carousel.
I love using the carousel like that, where it attaches through, so it almost like it forces you and wants you to scroll through it.
So much more enticing.
Yeah, and it's almost they're using the tiles in the carousel to get people to kind of swipe through the carousel to see what's happening there. And again, Instagram stories, so you see this, a kind of interesting image and interesting use of angle and proportion, but it's a fairly organic looking photo, right? It's not a super branded logo, etc. And that's really, really important. It's really important to use content that resonates on social. So using images of people, using images of people in action or in the pre-roll, right? Master of none here, right? Exactly that. As opposed to necessarily this, giant, like what you would see on a movie poster versus that. Like that's
Yeah.
that's the fundamental difference. Like if you had that as a movie poster, right?
Yeah.
The second part is your messaging should also be much more socially oriented. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, it's way more casual. I find people are not responding like at all. Like people are getting not acclimated, but people are getting like used to more polished writing. So they
Mhm.
wanted it to be way more casual. Than it seems more relatable.
Yep.
That's why they're
Yeah.
more into it. But
Absolutely no, and I think it is relatable, and it is all of those things. And it's a distinctly different thing than doing a print piece, for example,
Yeah.
right? That you might give out. It's not that one is more or less valid than the other; they're just different.
different styles. Yeah,
Yeah.
like when you're looking at social media, it's way more casual. You just scrolling through the feed. Maybe you're waiting at the doctor's office. You just need something to
Mhm.
to look at. You know what I mean? So you want it to be more casual. You don't want to see like a super intense post or like read something that's like super
Yeah.
intense, right?
So if you're creating Facebook social ads, for example, or Instagram ads, is really try to delight, entertain, be casual, tell a story, use stories, for example. Now, as opposed to necessarily taking the print piece that you had your design firm do or whatever
Yeah.
and putting it up,
Yeah,
right? Which you see a lot of.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So let's just roll through what formats are supported in the Creative Hub. The other cool thing about the Creative Hub, I think this is important, and particularly from the designer's perspective, is it's always got the most updated ad specifications and features that are available because it's pushed by Facebook there.
Yes. Yeah.
And we all know they,
Facebook,
yeah.
Facebook's ruthless. If you don't
They are
have
ruthless.
it perfect,
Yeah.
it's gone. They get so many ads in a day. They're not messing around. They're like, if it's not perfect,
yes, no situation.
this is not happening. So you have to know exactly the sizing that it has to be, the exact resolutions it has to be, the exact amount of text it has to be on, because they removed the 20% text rule, but they still don't push ads with more than 20%. So like you should still pay attention to that. Certain things like don't put your full out brand on it. Like it should just be like a beautiful, not like, the kind of stock photography that's more casual. It's not it's not super stocky looking. Something that looks like someone could have taken it from an iPhone or something like that.
Yeah.
They pay attention to that, and they will lower your ad score.
Yeah. Your relevance score, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't use bad stock. Do try to get, I mean, photography, you can obviously get scales of photography.
Yeah.
You can find young photographers that are willing to do things for a lower cost. And to Justin's point, with the right lighting, an iPhone can take a great photo.
Oh yeah.
And you can touch it up in Photoshop fairly quickly, clean it up.
Even now you have apps now that you can just do it straight on the phone to make it
That's
look
right.
just as nice, right? So
Visco,
yeah,
VSCO.
yeah, I like Afterlight.
There's all sorts that you can hit a filter button and it'll look great.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Instagram, Insta filter will help. And you think about it, in all of this, you're going to get more attention by creating that unique content as a brand than you would by going to Shutterstock and picking up, the standard, very obvious stock photo.
image,
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
And if you're doing that, like there's no fault in Shutterstock. Shutterstock's amazing for what it is, but you have to look at like, is this too obvious of a stock image? Like you have to literally look at it and be like, this needs to look more casual. Like maybe you don't have the time to go take a photo, but go through it and see like, does this look like a natural photo that someone naturally can take and be more
Yep.
relatable?
Yeah, there's also Death to the Stock Photo, which is a group of photographers that said they were going to make really good stock photography. And on Shutterstock, there are good stock photographs.
Yeah.
You have to find them.
Yeah.
There's a few gems hidden in there.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
winners. You
absolutely.
have to walk in. You have to like. You'll find something good. You just gotta hunt.
Yeah. So let's just roll through the available formats on Facebook for Business and in the Creative Hub. Facebook Stories, which are Instagram stories, so you can create a story and use that as your advertisement, which is a great idea. A collection, which is probably what, well, I don't know, maybe people are familiar with it. So you'd be able to see the collection and a line.
A lot of clothing brands, furniture, a lot of products like that are using it.
A lot of
like it.
Shopify stores.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a nice mix because like you can see in the examples, you can do mix video and the products, so you can almost have like an ad with all the products in it, and then be like, oh my god, what was that? And then it's right underneath, and there's the buy right there.
Yep. This JavaScript by Facebook is killing my Chrome, which I find amusing. Let's just see.
Damn it, Michael Kors.
Yeah, we'll give this a second to figure itself out. Oh boy. So we have, I'm going to do it out of order then and see if I remember all of them. Obviously, Facebook video, that's straight up, you would remember that. There's also 360-degree video.
Facebook video, also note that a lot of people watch the video on mute.
Yeah,
So make sure that you
Very good
have
point.
you have subtitles or some kind of writing underneath, because people do write it. Like I do it all the time. You guys all do, like I know you guys all do it. Like sometimes you're like you don't want that sound and you don't have headphones, so like and you still
don't rely on the fact that people are going to listen to your video. They probably won't.
No.
So you can use the slide-in text style. You can actually do like a closed caption overlay. But yeah, try not to rely on it.
It also makes it more accessible.
Yeah, totally. So I'm going to close out of this since that took the life out of this web browser. Let's see if it does the same thing again. That's not, it's very angry right at the moment, but that's okay. 360 video. Now you do need a special 360 camera to do it.
Or you can use the iPhone just panoramic tool makes it 360.
Yep. To get the like an HD immersive experience, you would. So if you're but there's scales. You're right. You can totally use it. The thing is really great for anybody with a location that you want people to visit, right? Restaurants, retail store, doctor's office, right? Like if you've got a doctor, if you're a doctor, medical professional, have a clinic, I know that my dentist's office, King Street Dental, shameless plug. Shout out. They actually do really great digital marketing. I really like what they do. They have a system that text messages me. And then will Facebook message as well for a reminder. And they're pretty savvy and on it, but they just did this huge renovation. They obviously put a lot of money into it. So a really great way to attract new clients is using that 360 video. Real estate professionals. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
crazy.
And
here's the whole house.
And I think, and definitely in that case, especially considering the amount of money that real estate agents make. I know, I just finished buying a house. They making the investment would make sense, because if people can walk through and experience it, they've got that much better of a chance.
And something like that, like real estate agents, you got your iPhone, you can make a beautiful panoramic that's at least nice that you can see all the products, and then and especially because like if it's 2HD, sometimes people are like, oh, I've seen it, and then don't actually go see the house. Where like real estate agents want people to actually go to the house too.
Yeah,
That's true.
So let's see if this thing comes back. So what are we at? Video, 360 video, the good old carousel, which we spoke about before. Lots of fun, cool things you can do with the carousel.
Have fun with it. Like you saw the we saw the M&M's one. Like have like them connecting through. Have like some kind of fun thing. Like I think Adidas or Nike now has their shoe that they're promoting, but as the carousel's going, it's like half the shoes, the different color variations, which is awesome. Like go through it. It makes people, like when you have that kind of movement with the imagery, it makes people want to scroll through it, and then that's what makes it a better quality ad.
Absolutely. Obviously, the straight up image ad, still effective, done properly, but certainly not to be dismissed. It's one of the original ones, obviously. Slideshow. So again, if you're featuring products that you wanna get people to have a better look at, whether it's a vehicle, because vehicles, there's a lot of moving parts.
Definitely.
I guess.
The interior, the exterior.
That's right. And one of my favorites that is often overlooked is the Facebook Canvas. So the Facebook Canvas is interesting for the simple fact that it allows you to effectively create. That's it. It's over. I was going to say that's not a police siren. So That sounds like fire, so hopefully everybody's okay. But the Facebook Canvas allows you to have a full screen Canvas experience and pull people into what are effectively kind of like landing pages on Facebook.
I think that's the best way to think about it. Is
Yeah.
like think of it as a landing page right there, because when you think about it that way, you will put more content on it and more useful content, which is nice.
So those are all of the available formats. Now, I'm not sure if you're watching what I just did there, but in the inspiration, you can then shoot right over and start building your mock-up. And you can then share and collaborate with others. You can get feedback, and then you can save your mock-up, so you can have a bunch of different mock-ups.
Yep.
It makes the creative process and the campaign launch process incredibly more efficient than just going directly into your campaign. You know, hopefully you're not doing this 5 minutes before you want to launch.
When you make a mock-up and then save it, then let it sit for a bit, and then you come back to it, I find you get better quality out of that as well. Because you sat there, you thought about it, you had the idea. Maybe it was like amazing. You don't have to change it, but maybe you thought of something, and you can go back and you can like tailor it better.
Yeah, for
which
sure.
is really nice.
This can be used across all social platforms, correct? So,
Well,
just Facebook and Instagram.
Facebook and Instagram.
Facebook and Instagram for the Creative Hub, yes. There's a display planner and some other tools of assets and collections in Google Ads, so you can save your creatives in Google Ads, and they also have a bit of a studio for creating responsive search display ads.
Yep.
Just always a mouthful.
Yes.
And your templates there. This thing looks like it's stuck. Some of the other things that you can do in here, managing your mock-ups and creating a collection. So like I said, like, what we're talking about here is if you're just a one-person show, you still want to create the library. You can go back to your library. You can see everything that you've ever created.
Yep.
You know, you can compare the performance that you had and start thinking about the messaging and how to improve it.
It could be as simple as like finding an image that you thought was amazing and really represents your brand, but not knowing the copy behind it yet, saving it, make it as a mock-up, put it to the side, awesome. Then once you figure it out, it's there, and you can actually make like the good quality.
Yeah, and it's just, you know what, it's a nice convenient place and way to work. Because, you know, fundamentally, you spend a lot of time with this stuff. Here we go. I'm going to flip over to some of this. Now, there's one thing, and Justin touched on it before, the 20% text over image rule, right? They used to ban it. It wasn't allowed. And then they said, well, okay, go ahead, spend your money.
Leniency.
Yeah. Spend your money with us, but there's a warning, and it will say if you exceed the 20% threshold, like, we will suppress your ad. Your ad will not deliver to its fullest potential. Facebook absolutely, and you know what? Google's the same way with the GDN. They don't want. If you guys remember the old days of Punch the Monkey, remember that old ad? You did try to punch it, the monkey would be going across and blinking fluorescent lights and everything else. They're protecting the user experience. Like, what they don't want to have is you're scrolling through Facebook and you see ads. Almost they want them to be more native ads, and that's kind of what we were talking about with the social strategy. You can check your image. There's tools in there to get your image ad approved, the 20%. And also, keep in mind, one other tip, and Justin mentioned this before, Facebook is getting very, very strict with how they're policing ad creation. If you're using, frankly, crappy stock and it looks bad and
they will notice.
They will notice, and you'll probably get approved, but your relevance score will be much lower. And you will therefore then be paying much more.
And this does, like, that 20% rule does only apply to, like, images. And that's, like, so if you're doing just a plain image post, even the carousels, if you have copy on, like, the little squares, they will suppress that. So you need to notice, like, any kind of imagery is... The safest way is honestly just don't put text on it at all.
Well, and my point is use the image area to show an image. Don't turn it into a billboard. You have lots of text space around it that people will actually read.
Use the image to entice them to further read, right?
Like they would on a social network.
There.
Yeah.
Information is there.
Yeah. Your logo being front and center is probably not going to incite that person to do absolutely anything.
Because that tells them nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the case of brands and companies being more focused on themselves than on their user. Some of the other things that are really important, exploring those new ad formats and getting that creative juice flowing, whether you use them right away or not. But 99% of all Facebook advertising that we see falls into 3 categories of types out of the 9 that are available on Facebook: video, image, and carousel. And that's it. So you think of it, if you had 10 at-bats in a baseball game, you're only going to 3 of them. So you're going to lose on all 7 of the others. So the creativity comes in, and this allows you to see it and even to tweak, right?
Yeah. Tweak it, and then you can actually see how you people will experience the ads. You can better focus on that. Where before you couldn't really experience that, so it was kind of like a test, like. Yeah. Maybe this will work, maybe this won't. But now you can visually see how the client, how the customer's going to see it. Yeah, which is nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of preview options actually. To be fair, within Business Manager and Facebook. Although trust me, the interface is not where you would want to work, because on your monitor, that is yay big. Okay, if you're in the Business Manager, your ad creation screen is about this big, so you might as well almost be working on your phone.
Yeah.
That is not the place to be creative, right? It's like here's your canvas. This is your canvas, now go paint, right?
Minimalist.
That's all you've got. You have no space to do it, and it's really hard to kind of to see it. It's not necessarily a fun place to work, because you're launching campaign details there. The Creative Hub gives you lots of space to work, look at other things. The sharing features are absolutely critical. You wouldn't believe the number of times that even we've gone through design cycles that become a little frustrating, because you're going away, you're redoing the whole thing, you come back, not quite right. Go away, come back, as opposed to this, which is a much more collaborative process.
Yeah.
It's like the Google Docs of Facebook advertising.
It also, your client, as a marketer, your clients will appreciate it way better, that you can actually send them what it's actually going to look like and what it's actually going to function. It looks, when you send them those, it actually does look like the Facebook newsfeed, how it's going to look, which is awesome.
And it's also much more professional. I mean, people that aren't doing this all day, every day, have a real hard time visualizing what an ad will look like in the wild, right?
In the wild.
Yeah. So you know what? I think we're gonna call it a day. I don't know. What do you guys think about the reverse formatting?
I like it. Yeah.
Cool. I thought it was pretty good too. We'll still mess around with it. But anyways, check out the Facebook Creative Hub. Start using it, and have a good weekend. That's
Have fun.
Have fun. Cheers.
Cheers.